Hi, so today we're going to do a vinyl pocket. I have kits and patterns. The patterns are only 10 and the kits are 40, and that will come with everything except for some interfacing, and everything else will be in it. So I'm just, out of one of the kits, I have actually grabbed the what they call it, binding, and I'm just sewing that together at the moment, and I'm going to put the camera down for you so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll get that ready and I'll be right back. Okay, so in your kit you get the fabric for the handle, which I have already prepped. It comes already cut, and I've folded in half like that so it was open, and then folded the sides in. I've put some interfacing on it so it gives it a little bit more stability, and I'm about to go and stitch down either side of that. You'll get your zipper. You'll also get the fabric for the front and back. Okay, so that's for the front, and I have already put stabilize or interfacing on it. And the back, you get your fabric lining, and you get the foam, and it's iron-on foam, which is brilliant. So I just then iron that together, and I'm going to do some big open cross hatches. You can free motion, or you can do whatever you like. So I'm going to do that and come back. Oh, and also you get your vinyl. So I'm going to come back after I've stitched down the handle and done some cross hatching, and I'll show you the next step. So I'm just doing the last few lines of this one. I've done white thread so you can see what I'm doing. I'll show you up close in a minute. It is not ruled, it has not been measured, so it is definitely not even, but one thing it is it is done. So this is probably the longest part, other than hand stitching down binding, which I don't do on this one. I actually do it by machine. Yeah, but this probably takes the longest. So we'll get this done. So if you've already purchased this pattern, or you've got one similar to it, they sort of all work very, very similar. Most of these patterns are very similar in the way that they're put together, but you can pretty much work out your measurements quite easily. And that's it, done. Alright, so that is cross-hatched. Yes, I know it's not neat, and that one has been done. So that is fabulous. So I can now pop them aside for the moment. I have also joined together my binding, which all came in the kit, and I've put those together with a bias mitered, joining. So I can pop them aside now. This is the next section. This is the part where people go, what do I do here? A Teflon foot will work really, really well. You don't have to have a Teflon foot, but it can be a little tricky. So you got your clear vinyl, and you've got 3 pieces of fabric. 2 are for the top. Right, so this part up here above the zipper, then we've got the zipper, and then we've got under the zipper. Okay, so, and this one is for the part that goes against this. Now I've put a little bit of interfacing on the inside of that, and I am going to, I folded it over, and I'm going to stitch it along that fold, just like that, along that top edge. So I've got a fold there on the fabric that I've already ironed in, and I'm going to stitch that together. Like I say, you use clips with this. It's a lot easier with clips. I'm just going to put my top stitch back down to a normal stitch, and I've used like it's almost like 1/2 inch, but the pattern will tell you what it is, and that will help. So alright, got to the end. I'm going to turn it over just like that. So I've stitched it together, okay, on the plastic. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to top stitch. Oh, I know. Again, you can put that stitch at number 4 or whatever, which I'm going to do, 3.5, 4, and top stitch that bit there. One thing you don't do is don't iron it. Do not iron. You will end up very unhappy. Faux leather or vinyl or whatever does melt under the heat of an iron. Alright, so I'm just going to go back to normal stitch, and I've got that attached. Then I'm going to do I'm just going to put my zipper. I'm going to get my zipper and my 2 top bits. So I'm going to just move that camera down. So my vinyl with the top bit attached to it, I've got my zipper, and these 2, that'll be front and back. I'm going to attach these now. Alright, so first things first is I'm going to actually attach this zipper. Now you'll notice the zipper's a lot longer. That's okay. You can use zipper tape here, or you can pin it or clip it or whatever. I'm literally just going to sew it along that edge, and I'm giving myself a bit of room. So I just need to make sure. Okay, so we need to, sorry, my bad, before we do that, we need to fold that under, and this is where you would actually clip this down. I'm just going to run a stitch along that. I don't have any clips with me again, so I do have a little bit of space under there for pin into the fabric. And I'm going to stitch along that seam I've already done. Alright, that's just like that. Top stitch that down on top of that same stitch I've already done. Could actually do that all in one step rather than doing what I just did, but we're going to go with that. All right, so we want the right side of that zipper down on that edge, and we're going to sew that along that edge there. Now this is a number 3 zipper. I think in the pattern I actually stipulate a number 5, but either one is perfectly fine. It'll work just the same. Okay. And you can flip that over. Again, do not use your iron, and run a stitch along what you just stitched down. Just so that that keeps that seam out of the way of the zipper. Okay, then we take the two top pieces and we go right side here and other side on that side. So one on either side of that zipper. Again, you can pin, clip, or whatever that in place. Clips work best. Also, so does the zipper tape. I do have that in stock if you're wanting, or they call it binding tape, wash away tape. All means the same. But that will hold that really, really well. I'm going to pop a couple of pins just where I can see, just to hold those three together. For the demo, I really, it's not really that much of a big deal if mine's not perfect. You guys will take your time. I'm trying to do this in a short period of time for you, and I'm always busting for time, so I'll do my best. All right, so again, run that along there. I have not cut the zipper off or anything. I've done none of the sort, so I'm just, again, running along there. I'm putting a bit of pressure on that to stop it from coming out. I don't want it to come out from underneath the foot. I think it might have just come out from under the foot, but anyway, I'll have a look when I get there. I just think I just made it. All right, so then open that back out. And again, do not iron. Finger press that flat. Both sides. And we're going to stitch that down across there. Top stitch. Hold it in place. It disappeared in there. It disappeared right in that seam. That's okay. It's all good. So that's done. So that's the front. Then what we need to do is move that zipper along. I'm going to just leave that for the moment. And we've got the back, the front. We have handles, okay? Handles. They need to go in here as well. When we put this all together, you want to make sure that your vinyl is sitting sort of level with the bottom of the backing. Best it can. Clip in place, obviously. Again, I don't have my clips with me. When you go and stitch along the side here, you have to make sure that zipper is out of the way. You can pin that down on the fabric side. But, like I say, don't pin through the vinyl. Once you put a hole in vinyl, don't unpick either. So that's how we're going to put them together. But before we do that, because I don't want to do that without putting my handle on, so I'm going to put this on probably the back. I can't remember whether I did back or front. I think I did back. And we're going to put it on like that. So all I did was, I got this, you'll trim your threads because you'll be much better at this than me, is I actually put that here like that, fold it that way. So when I put on the front, just trying to remember now how I did that. When I put on the front, I folded it up so it was like that. Yep. So it would hide the seam. So find a spot to put your handle. First things first. Pin or clip it in place and just put like a really small stitch in it just to hold it on. Make sure that it is not twisted, that there's no twist in that handle. So I'm going to do that. Just a little seam across there. And that one. You would measure and find the center, do all those wonderful things. And then fold it up. Rid of all your threads. Get your front. Okay. I'm going to probably need to trim my top bit. I think before I sew that down. Yep, I am. So I'm going to trim it back. So I'll be back in 2 seconds and trim them both the same size. Okay, so I've just measured them off and got them the same size. That'll be in your pattern, of course. And then I'm just going to pin that top to the top, making sure my handle is folded backwards. I don't want it getting caught up. You can pin that down as well. We will sort that back handle out later. Again, like I say, if you're going to pin it to anything, make sure you're only pinning to fabric and not your vinyl. All right, so now we need to stitch all the way around and just do 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch stitch, and I'll do that and I'll be back. Okay, so now I've got the binding. We are ready to put the binding on and we're almost done. So believe it or not, this is going to be finished very, very soon. Binding, you can do binding in many different ways. I'm going to pop this binding on as I always do, and I'm making sure again that is out of the way. I'm going to top stitch it down after the fact. So I always leave a bit of a gap and pop that on my lap because I want to join it, and I'm going to give myself a good seam. Always stitch forward and back when I first start on this, and when I get close to that edge I fold that over like that, and you could put a mark if you want to, or a pin. I'm just going to put a pin there on that crease because that's where my needle needs to go. But what I'm going to do when I do that, I'm going to go one more stitch and then going to go backwards. And then lift up, fold it up. Well, you guys can't see much if I haven't got the camera right. So I've stitched up to that crease, fold that up on that crease so it runs parallel to the side that I'm going to do, fold it back down so the fold is now even with the one I've just sewn. Using that same distance, a stitch from the edge, just go down. Make sure your zipper's out of the way. Now when you make yours, you will make sure that your stitching is all nice and neat, your thread is the same color as your fabric, all that sort of stuff. I'm just doing this so you can see how it's done. very quickly, of course, but gives you a bit of a running idea on how it works. Again, put that pin in that where that seam, that fold is, I should say, and just that one more stitch, and then go backwards, cut it off, take that out, fold it up, again, fold it back down, parallel, come off the side, all the way down here. Now making sure that handle is out of the way, which it is. I very, very, very rarely ever pin a binding. Very rarely pin it down, or occasionally I'll clip, but I might only clip a couple of places and then move the clips as I go. Getting up to that crease again, and backwards, lift up, fold down. What you do want to make sure is if you've got a join in your fabric that you don't have that right on a corner. It's just down from the corner, so this one's okay. Always nice. All the way around. I think this part of the tutorial is worth more than all the rest of it. Alright, so I'm just going to go back a little, so give myself a bit of room. Put that crease in there, and put the pin in that bit of fabric. Get to that pin. Go backwards. Now I will do the exact same thing, go down here, but I'm only going to go down a couple of inches because I want a fair gap at the end to join my binding. Okay, all right. So I'm ready now to do the join of the binding. I'm going to cut majority of that off. I've got plenty of excess, and that obviously is going to be way too long, so I'm going to trim that halfway, literally halfway, just like that. Then grabbing that piece, I'm opening it up, and I'm going to place it on here. I might have to unstitch that a little. So here we go. And then lay that over the top, the other side over the top, and then I'm going to trim that the same width of that piece that I cut off, and then put those aside, and then open that out, and we're now going to do a mitered corner. Open that out. Now before I ever, this will be a bit tough because of the vinyl. Before I ever stitch these together, I will put my fingers across there and open it out to make sure there's no twists. And that's got a twist. So, try again. So place it. Yeah, no, that should be right. I'll put a pin in it this time so I can see it properly. So I will always, that's a bit tight. I might undo some of that stitching there. As long as I stitch straight back where I was, I'll be fine. Being vinyl, it is a reverse stitching. There we go. Gives me a little bit more room. Fold that up. There we go. That's a bit better. Make that L shape. Now I'll get my pin and go from that corner to that corner, so that when it flips out, it's going to be right, and I can see that's going to be right. Then I will take that to the machine. Because it's not much space, I'm going to have to put my foot on it, pretty much bite my tongue, hold my breath, and all the rest of it. But I'm going to sew from that corner across to that corner, as if I'm doing any other mitre. It's going to be hard for you guys to see, but I'll do my best. I do have a video on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. I'm Michelle's Patchwork. Obviously, I have a website, which is michellespatchwork.com. And, of course, on Facebook. Oh, before I cut that, always double check. So, look at that. How satisfying was that? And open that back out. cut off that excess. Don't cut the wrong side. So cut off that little excess there and open it back out. Bang. Now we're going to stitch that down. Just give that a little bit of a finger press. And all you have to do now is turn it back over. And we're going to top stitch. And this is where, when we top stitch, we're going to be able to get that handle to sit nicely. So we're going to that, and a bit of a tweak there. Just going to go to the back there. All right, so you will literally fold that back over all the way around. The part that I'm talking about up here is your thing's going to go over the top of that handle like that, which pushes the handle down. Bring it up, clip that or pin it in place like that, and then top stitch all the way around. It's hard. Top stitch all the way around, catching that handle. And that'll hold that handle in the up position for you, which is what you want. It's a bit hard because it's so thick. Use your walking foot. There we go. You'll turn that all around, do your stitching around, and she's done. Look at that. All done. Thank you for joining me. A little bit longer than I expected. Top stitch didn't quite work. Hey, it's done, isn't it? Oh, isn't that awesome? So other than doing that top stitch around there, which I'm not going to bore you with, that is all I have to do. And that vinyl pocket is done and dusted. Again, like I say, you use a thread or use your zipper, whatever colour you want to when you buy your pattern, or you can buy a kit that's already in there. You can request colours. It's all good. I don't mind, but you'll have everything in it to make it, except for a little bit of interfacing. But well done. You've done it. Well done, guys. We'll see you at the next one.